Hey, all you timid bards and bardettes, welcome back to iCast Vicious Mockery.
A show about heroes, about villains, and about friendship.
And also a show about dating advice for tweens.
No, not that. But anyway, we're your hosts. I'm Matt.
And I'm Austin.
And we thank you, lovely people, for joining us today.
As your reward, we're going to present you with some homebrew we scrounged up from the depths of Matt's phone. We're really scraping the bottom of the pan for this one today.
We haven't recorded in like a month.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I got plenty of homebrew in the back pocket. I got all kinds, and I brought it up, and we had done it all already. Yeah. Such is life, though, man. Like, that's just how it is. It's okay. But I did find some because Reddit is not my only source. It's not my only source for things.
I'm going to have to ask you to send me the the ones from anywhere else, just because, like, there's no way I'm going to find any of these. You're not going to find these.
Like,
Reddit ones are almost searchable. Sometimes I can't find it.
Yeah, I know.
But sometimes I can. Anywhere else? Gosh, no.
No, especially not Instagram. Man, things get buried in Instagram, and their algorithms terrible because they're run by Facebook.
Do you think an Instagram burial is cheaper than a regular burial? I'm asking for a friend.
I think, well, yeah. I mean, it's free.
Is it, though?
All you have to do is post about something that's divisive.
Boom. Yeah, that'll do it.
Nobody will ever see it.
Fair enough. Cool stuff. All right. Yeah. All right. What you got for us?
Okay. Here, I'll let you. So since this is so, off the beaten path here.
We're playing it fast and loose today.
Fast and loose. There's some cool stuff in here, but I'll have you tell me what you want to hear about. So I'm just going to tell you the.
Are you telling me to tell you what I
broad
want?
Strokes.
What I really, really want?
Yes. So here is so in the lore of D&D, obviously you can run things how you want. We say that all the time, but
right. But don't do that.
Generally
and listen
speaking,
to us instead.
Yeah, generally speaking, when you're devils are they're lawful evil, and how that's often portrayed is they write contracts. It's like It's like Faustus, Dr.
Ivan Faustus. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Mephistopheles, and
he does like the
Faustian bargains, right. Those kinds of things. Anyway, so this is a list of devilish contracts.
There we go.
Concepts.
There we go. Yes, I love this.
Yeah, like just like the give and take of them.
So before you start, I'm gonna say this isn't even quite homebrew, but it's also like a necessary thing for certain characters. Like I'm just gonna say this: if tieflings are sometimes touched by the infernal and stuff like that. And so if you're playing a tiefling, this could just be a thing that you do.
Yeah, you just make bargains with people and tie them to the infernal. So it's like a magical pact. Like it's something that you can't get out of, without some sort of divine intervention, which you won't get because there's a whole lore about how they stay out of each other's business. Anyway. So do you want me to just jump right into it? There's a lot of these, so I guess I can just pick and choose. The one gripe I do have with this is it says devil contract offers, but it does contain some demon things in it, and that's not how demons roll. Demons don't make contracts, generally speaking. I mean, again, that's nitpicking maybe, but
who made this? Who we got?
This is okay. So
I have to be angry at them. So say their name for us here.
It doesn't. I mean, there's no name. The account that posted this is called Bardic_Tales.
We don't know if it was developed by them or not.
Yeah, we don't know.
Assuming it was, Bardic _Tales. First off, your name is really long. Get rid of that underscore. Yeah. Replace it with just like the character underscore, please. So I don't have to say it every time.
Yes. Totally.
Yeah. And second of all, we got some problem with what you've made. But not really. Let's go ahead and let's get into these.
Hey, okay, so number one, we're already jumping right into it because it's immortality.
Already jumping right into it.
Yeah.
All right. Immortality. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So the character will never age nor die naturally, though they can still be killed. Like a lobster.
Right.
You become a lobster.
Right.
Does that mean that you also continue growing and must still eat, and therefore at some point you will be so big that you cannot move and therefore cannot acquire enough sustenance for yourself and will die of starvation? Because that's what happens to lobsters.
I'm going to say no, sort of, asterisk.
Okay, no asterisk.
Right?
Got it.
If you made this bargain when you were 13 years old, yes. Actually, yes.
Okay.
You would keep growing because you wouldn't pass puberty, right? Like you wouldn't you wouldn't move on, and your pineal gland wouldn't be like, hey, we can chill out now. Like you're a pretty big dude.
Yeah, sure.
It'd be like, keep them growing, and then you would get real big and die.
Okay, so you're imagining this as if the immortality is sort of like a stasis for your body's status quo.
Yeah,
like it keeps it.
Yeah, not like it ages you to a nice ripe age and then like keeps you there, but like whatever you're at, that's just what you're at.
And your body's normal biological functions would continue.
Yeah,
that's very Faustian.
Which I guess means that your nose would keep growing and your ears would keep growing and some stuff like that.
But your head would stay the same size.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it.
I don't know. Heads change shape.
Anyway,
it doesn't matter right now.
That's true. Right. I like that because it's very Faustian, because that's how a lot of those devil contracts go.
Yeah.
Where
you don't really think about it, but like there are some downsides.
Yes.
Even just a little thing like your nose just keeps growing.
Mm-hmm.
You eventually end up with like, even though you otherwise look exactly the same as you did a couple thousand years ago.
Right.
Actually, it would be much bigger.
It would take over. Your whole face.
Take over
your whole face would be a
body.
Nose.
Yeah.
Just one giant.
There'd be a bunch of nose and ear people hopping around,
like a Tarrasque-sized nose. Just a mono. The player characters are like, all right,
I can smell you.
We're scaling this mountain. Oh, it's a nose. Oh man, it's a nose.
Okay. Anyway, let's assume that it doesn't even disfigure your body or anything like that. It's just kind of like you look the same, you operate the same. Even then, there are problems with this. But so yeah. What else we got?
Interestingly enough, this doesn't include anything. This doesn't include the things that are the downside to the bargain. Though devil bargains are usually like, you make this agreement, you get something really strong out of it, but the flip side is that after so much time, or if you decide to do this or that, then your soul now belongs to the devil. Okay, let's see. There are things that give you feats, like there's this one called Twisted Fortune, where you gain the lucky feat.
I already have feet.
That's pretty good. I think most player characters do, but you never know. I mean, maybe there's a centaur character who wants feet. Yeah. I mean, they get broken immediately, as soon as they try to run anywhere near horse speed, but yeah. Like a mermaid who wants feet, like an aerial situation, but just the feet. So like the fins just grow feet out the bottom. Still can't walk with just feet. But
anyway,
so that's the Faustian part of that.
I like this way of gaining a feat by like selling your soul.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
It is fun.
That's pretty cool.
It is fun.
Like, I don't know if I would do that with a character. I guess there are certain characters who, like, yeah, absolutely, they that's what they would do as a person. But I mean, for me as a player, I don't know.
Yeah, making those kinds of bargains doesn't appeal to you, huh?
In Mega Man Battle Network 4.
Okay, I'm following.
You could use these battle chips. Everybody knows how battle chips work in Mega Man Battle Network. Am I right?
Totally following you.
So you use the battle chips in battle to use like moves, right? Like you use the chip. It's like a playing card. It's one of those card-based battle systems.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's like you're playing a card which does like a spell. Let's think of it that way. There are certain ones that are very powerful, but permanently reduce your hit points. Permanently reduce your hit points if you use them.
Okay.
It reduces them by like 1 or 2. And by the end of the game, I think you're on the order of like 1,500. So you could use it like 750 times, and there are not that many. There aren't 750 required battles in the whole game.
Okay. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's also not exactly like you're leveling up, so you wouldn't use it to grind for XP or something like that. There are some sort of grindy aspects in the game if you want, but you can basically use them throughout the whole game with no real penalties.
Yeah, it feels like you're giving something up significant, but really it's not that significant.
Yeah, but I never use those.
Yeah, okay.
Number one, because Mega Man Battle Network 4 is the worst one in the series, and I only played it once.
Okay.
Through, and then I was like, all right, yeah, I see why people don't like it, and I'm probably not going to go back to it. But number 2 just doesn't. My personality does not like that. I do not like it.
You know, this is interesting because you're the only person that I know personally who has beaten Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which is a game like that where you have card-based kind of game.
Yeah.
So if you're saying that it's that bad, then it must be pretty bad.
It's probably on a similar level to Chain of Memories as far as not being a fun game.
Chain of Memories was not fun to me. I mean, maybe some people enjoyed that kind of thing. I did not like that game.
The battling in Battle Network is really fun, and I like it a lot. Number 3 had so much cool stuff going for it, and number 4 kind of just took it all out and was like, here, have these chips that hurt you. So I don't like that.
Yeah.
And it also, like, the other issue with it was that, like, the story is awful and tedious.
Oh, great.
Right? Like, it's not just a bad story, but you're like constantly like stuck. Not stuck like I don't know what to do to progress, or I am not able to progress, but stuck like wading through a bunch of dialogue, and then you go back to this place, and then you go back to this place. And I don't care about backtracking in games. I'm not like that.
Okay.
I think it's kind of fun to go through the same areas and stuff like that and just kind of hang out.
Yeah.
But it's not about backtracking. This is just literally like you're trapped in this area. Now you're trapped in this area. Now you're trapped in this area. Now you're, and then like
it's suffocating.
But it all feels so pointless because it is.
Because it is. Oh boy,
it's just not that good. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I will have to revisit it at some point. But I think the next time I play it, I'm going to give myself permission to stop when I feel like it's not that great.
Oh yeah, well that's important. I think. Some people have trouble with doing stuff like that. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I used to, but I don't think I do anymore. Trouble with, like, if you are going through something, there's a moment sometimes where it just starts to feel like work, like a video game or like a TV show. Those really shouldn't feel like work, you know?
But isn't that what makes you stronger as a person?
I don't know.
I don't know either, man.
I don't think so.
If I knew all the answers, you shouldn't trust me. Just don't trust me if I ever say that.
Though, I don't know, because, so I just got done, like, actually today, watching Tokyo Revengers, which is an anime. Have you heard of it? It's an anime. It's pretty new. The first season just ended, for context. I won't give away any spoilers, but I'm just going to say I did not care for it very much. I think all the things that I've seen online praising it are really weird. Like not right at all.
Spoken like a true Tokyo Revenger.
I don't know. Like a lot of people say like, oh man, the action scenes are so good. There were maybe 2 in the 24 episodes that I enjoyed. 2 action scenes.
Right.
In all 24 episodes that I actually enjoyed.
That doesn't sound very good.
No. A lot of the animation I found to be really stiff. They do that anime thing a lot where you ever see that where somebody punches somebody else and the fist kind of like floats over and like stops on their face, and then they like blink, like the person getting punched blinks really hard, but there's no impact to it. It like makes the impact noise, but nothing really moves. It just
I don't know if I don't know if I have seen this.
I've seen it before, and there's a lot of that in Tokyo Revengers. It's hard to explain. I know that we are recording this visually, but I want to be able to describe this for people who are just listening.
Yeah.
It's a very specific sort of circumstance that happens only in anime. It's like whenever somebody's super weak and all they're doing is like clinging on to the bad guy and like biting them or something, like just biting onto them with their teeth, and the person's like, get off of me, and they're punching them.
Yeah.
And the punches, they just they do this like floaty motion where they just kind of stop. There's no weight behind it. They just like stop on the person, and it makes the like the punch sound, but it doesn't actually look like it's doing anything. So that doesn't feel like there's any consequence to the punches.
Right.
Like they're just kind of.
And then the person would jump off and have a big angry face take up most of the screen and be like, "Hey, quit hitting me!" And their little arm would shake. Like that kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Baka.
Yeah. And they recycle the animation. Anyway, I got to the point like 3/4 of the way through the show where I was like, I don't think I like this, but I had to watch the rest. I just had to, because I was like, I think it was because I was like, so many people like this. It's really highly rated. It's like really well liked. Like across the board, like a lot of people really like it. But I don't understand. The interesting thing is, again, still no spoilers, so you don't have to feel like you gotta leave us here. Everything I've seen about the show, Tokyo Revengers, online, like people talking about it, nothing about the actual protagonist. Nobody likes him. The protagonist is terrible. All of the buzz online is about the other people in the show who are cool. And the protagonist is awful. And I don't understand how you could watch a show where the main character is so awfully.
Is it an isekai?
Written.
Doesn't sound like it because it says Tokyo in the title, but hey, I just thought I'd ask.
It's not isekai.
Does it follow the genre conventions of an isekai, but it's set in the real world or whatever?
Yes, it has a lot of isekai conventions. A lot,
including the hateable protagonist.
Yeah. It's that, because I guess isekai always either have the OP, like overpowered, like guy who beats everybody with zero effort protagonist, which only works in One Punch Man because that's kind of like, that is the conflict, you know?
Right.
But doesn't work in anything else because it creates no conflict.
Yeah.
Really, right? Like the Kirito problem. But he's the opposite. He's the kind of protagonist where he doesn't actually do anything and things happen to just work out around him, and therefore he gets a lot of clout and people start to like him because he's there when things go well. I don't understand, and I don't get it. Like, man.
Wait. Sorry. You mean in the show he gets a lot of clout, or like
In the show.
Okay.
Nobody, I don't think anybody actually, like anybody in the real world who watches the show, I don't think anybody actually likes this guy. The protagonist. His name is Takemichi. Yeah, please look up his character design. He has the worst character design.
This guy?
Yes, I know. Look at this guy.
Oh my God.
Isn't he one of the worst designed characters you've ever seen?
So he looks like a Japanese school kid punk.
Yep. Okay, you're getting
complete with blonde hair spiked into a mohawk.
Yep. Mohawkish, yeah.
Mohawkish shape.
Yeah.
It's a faux hawk, I guess.
Yeah,
So straight out of whatever year that was. Is this also him?
That's also him.
Does he have like two forms?
If I explained to you why that's also him, that might be getting into too much detail. But yes, that is also him. This guy right here, that's Mikey. He's cool. Mikey's cool.
Mikey is cool. Everybody knows that.
He's awesome.
All right. I'm not. We won't get too into it.
We're not going to get too into it.
Yeah, this so he's just wearing like Japanese school outfit with like the Mandarin collar, button down suit, and the pants that are like kind of are a little bit poofy.
Yeah, it takes place it sort of takes place in 2005, I think. 2005. Yes. Sort of. It sort of takes place in 2005. It sort of jumps between 2005 and 2017. So that's like him in 2017. The black hair. Yeah. So anyway, it's frustrating because even though the other characters in the show are actually cool, I don't understand. It's almost unwatchable because of how uncool the protagonist is. I don't know. I don't get it. It's all a rant.
Yep.
But,
well, it's yeah. I don't know. I guess you don't have to like a character in order for the story to be good, right? Like
that's true.
There are plenty of things where the characters make decisions you don't like, and they are people you don't like. It's just that it sounds like this is just also not your type of story.
Maybe. I think my biggest problem with it is not that he's kind of a loser, but that he doesn't do anything in the entire 24 episodes. He doesn't really have any character growth at all, which is tough in a story. It's tough, man. It's just hard to watch a story where the characters don't actually grow or change or learn anything. It all feels like fake. The character growth is like, because he was there during this significant event, people respect him now, is kind of how it is.
Mm-hmm.
He yelled something encouraging during this thing, and now everybody thinks he's cool. But he didn't do anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how it is. Okay.
So on a related note to the previous topic of deciding, to give up on a show or things like that.
Okay.
I think what I've found that is helpful. I guess I kind of knew this, but I kind of learned it from Adam Neely. I'll put the link to some Adam Neely video because it's not going to be the one he talks about this. I don't remember what video that is. That was a long time ago. But the question to use when you are learning new things, when you're taking in inputs like different forms of art or things like that, is, do I like this? Right? And here's how you use it. You like if you're learning music, for instance, because that's what he talks about, you try out different things with new songs. First off, you take the thing as a whole and you say, do I like this? And I find that more often than not, for me, the answer is, not really. But sometimes I do find stuff that I really, really like. So I'll start there. then you take the thing that you like and you kind of break it down into parts, and you try messing with the parts and seeing, do I like it more this way or more this way? In fact, an even simpler way to start with that is if you're recording an instrument or some other thing, and you've got different knobs. Usually when you're recording stuff, you've got gain, and sometimes you'll have effects that have different knobs, like delay or reverb or stuff like that. You just put them all halfway and you turn it up and you think, do I like that? And you turn it down and you think, do I like that? And you just go the way that you want it to, the way that feels good. Doesn't always work. There is a mathematical reason to not just follow that method, but it's a cool way to like, I guess, explore your own taste, right?
Yeah, because taste is tough because it's all just intuitive.
Right.
And intuition is sort of by nature
mysterious.
Yeah, it's mysterious. Yeah. It's tough to
like if because all right, so even for my job is IT. Right now. That's what I have been doing. And sometimes I rely on intuition for that job, which is not something that I would have thought is a good idea when I was younger. I would have thought that intuition is just not to be trusted or used, right?
Yeah.
And that you should just stick to what is rational or that sort of thing. But it turns out intuition is a valuable thing for a reason. And it's often very useful in even something like IT, believe it or not.
Yeah. In fact, I just started. Part of the reason why we haven't recorded in so long is I just started a new job, and I don't think I want to talk about what it is exactly, but I will say that I, not to sound too self-important, but I do work for the federal government now, and it is a security type job. The job is about keeping people safe. And I was surprised to hear that they basically told us, when I started training, that your intuition is very important.
Oh,
like if something doesn't feel right, then it probably isn't. And so you should like let somebody know.
See, that feels like the opposite of what you would expect to hear from a bureaucratic organization like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What you'd expect to hear is you need reasons to back up your claims.
Well, you do.
Which you might come up with them, but you should start with, like, it often starts with a feeling. And that tells you where to start looking, right? Like, that tells you what to investigate.
Exactly. Like, I can't actually bring anything forward to anybody if I have suspicions about something, unless I have an intelligible reason, I don't know. It's funny because I'm missing the word for the word that you would use to describe something that you can describe. Anyway, I need a reason that I can sort of put into words if I'm going to bring something to somebody's attention. I have to say it has to be specific too. But yeah, you're right. It starts with something doesn't feel right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what about that in D&D?
Okay. Well, yeah, that's important in D&D because
so that's where you would start with things like, see, that's tricky, actually. Because here's the problem. If I say, I want to make like an insight check and see if this guy is lying, that's relying on the player's intuition and not the character's intuition. Is there a way to gameplayify a character's intuition?
The game tries to. The way that the rules as written would do it is you do have passive insight, which is sort of like your character's passive intuition, like your character's ability to be suspicious about something, right? So how much that actually impacts the gameplay is probably up to the dungeon master. But is there a better way to do it? First of all, I think that depends on what kind of game you're playing, or even
what kind of game are you playing, huh?
Yeah. Right, what kind of game are we playing here, buddy? Because I think that if the game involves a lot of intrigue, maybe you should adjust the rules a bit on that, or maybe you should come up with something interesting. I guess that's our job, isn't it? To come up with something interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So let's see. Intuition. The easiest way to do anything in 5th edition D&D, at least, is to use the mechanics that are already set up for combat and see if you can build a framework out of that, because that's the most fleshed out kind of mechanic in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons is the combat mechanic. So is there a way that you could do that?
See, it's tricky because it's hard to it would be hard to trigger a character's intuitive sense of like, this is wrong, without also triggering that in the player.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, because if you ask somebody to roll dice, that's immediately they're going to be like, why are we doing that?
Yeah, unless it just always happens. Right, yeah. It's got to be really consistent. So that actually you have to formalize it a lot.
Yeah, you really have to formalize
right, so you got to take dialogue and things like that and just really make it a very consistent thing with all sorts of rolling and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what you could do is include rolls to determine whether or not an NPC will even lie to begin with.
Yeah.
Right?
It's there are a lot of video game RPGs that do dialogue with certain chance kinds of things like that. It could be similar.
Well, so here's what I'm thinking. Normally we try to like we try to act as though, we are the character. We get in their mind space and we lie if we think that they would lie. But if I think back to times that I've lied, sometimes I don't know the reason while I'm doing it.
Like the reason why you're lying?
Yeah. And then I think about it later. I'm like, why did I say that?
Yeah.
I don't. Have you ever felt that? Like, why did I say that?
Oh yeah, 100%. I had no reason to lie about that. Like, why did I do that?
Exactly. It just made things worse for myself, and they don't even know it made things worse for me yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Only I know. Had I just told them the truth, it would have been easier for me, and it would also have been easier for them. But because I lied, now it's worse for all of us. That is definitely a thing that happens. And so I think we can sort of implement that a little bit in a gameplay sense where, I feel like people don't always act completely under their own control. And so you could have a chance that an NPC will just outright lie by accident, right? Like they'll either omit something important or they will try to make themselves seem better than they are or that sort of thing.
Right.
You can determine the type of lie after you do the roll.
Yeah. So the way that something like this could work, I'm imagining, is sort of like you can talk to NPCs whenever you want in any circumstance, but if you want to gain anything significant from it, then it has to be rolled dialogue.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you would say, hey, I want to know this from this guy. And the DM would say, all right, roll initiative, except that it's just two people.
Right. So yeah, there doesn't have to be initiative.
It doesn't have to be.
Right. But I think that there are a lot of video games I'm thinking of right now that could form some kind of base for this. So one of them is Fallout, which has those sort of, and a lot of RPGs like that. Like
for our Canadian fans, by the way, he's talking about Fallout.
Fallout, yes, Fallout.
Wait a second. All right. Anyway,
Fallout in a boot.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's things like Mass Effect that have similar, dialogue things. And then there's something like Danganronpa. You've seen a little bit of Danganronpa, right? So you know kind of how that goes too. So that's sort of an RPG.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that counts as an RPG necessarily, but it does dialogue in an interesting way sometimes. So the way that would set up in my mind is you could initiate some sort of conversation and you make a roll.
Mm-hmm.
Probably some kind of persuasion or maybe even intimidation or something like that. And the effectiveness of that, it could go in something like almost like hit points.
Right.
Where somebody could have like a mental fortitude score of some kind. Or it could literally just follow your hit points, though maybe instead of being constitution based, you could make a different pool of hit points that are based on intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Something, or wisdom probably would be better.
Yeah.
And then your persuasion roll is like an attack. And
mm-hmm.
maybe you have 2d6 for damage.
Well, I'm thinking there could also be things using charisma where it's almost like or it could be a literal spell, but that causes, so maybe the idea isn't you want to lower their hit points all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
It's you want to keep them level, right? Like you don't want them to drop too low or get up too high. If they get too high, then they become angry and attack or something. If they get too low, then they try to flee the situation. They're like, all right, this is not good. I'm out of here. That kind of deal. Like
okay.
There could be other ways to do that, but like you want to
mm-hmm.
try to keep them in the middle, and certain techniques that you can use, verbal techniques or things like that, cause their points to drift either very far away from that, like suddenly it goes up very high, or at that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good. So it's sort of like you're trying to keep the meter,
mm-hmm.
Sort of leveled there. I like that. I like that.
Or you could do. You could do the approach of like they're at a 0. You don't want them to get to a 6, and it just is one way, and you're just trying to keep them calm. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a possibility too.
Yeah, or it's like 1 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to keep them at 5 or 6.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Something like that. Yeah. But
or maybe like 5 and under is good and 6 and above is bad. And like specifically the lower it gets to 1, the more they like you. Like if you hit a 1, you're inseparable. Like they would do anything for you.
Best friend. Yeah.
And if you hit a 12, then they'll hunt you down. They'll take Shia LaBeouf as their patron for the sole purpose of being able to hunt you better,
of tracking you. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
then they can't like really affect Chuck Norris, but they'll set something up where you and Chuck Norris cross paths,
mm-hmm.
and just hope that he takes you out.
Right, but because Chuck Norris is immune to time, if he will have taken you out, he already has.
Oh yeah.
So regardless of what they choose to do, it's deterministic.
Yeah,
right?
I guess Chuck Norris
is completely deterministic.
Is deterministic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that makes the concept of time travel in D&D like way weirder.
Yeah.
Because
does Chuck Norris have free will?
Exist separately? How can he if every decision that he's ever made has been made already?
Yeah, or like if it's afraid of him.
Free will is
afraid of Chuck Norris. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the opposite of free will, which doesn't have a name, can't be afraid of him because it doesn't have a name.
Oh.
Have we found Chuck Norris's weakness? If you don't exist, are you immune to Chuck Norris?
Immune to Chuck Norris? Can Chuck Norris affect nothing?
Yeah, that definitely nothing exists. It has a name.
Oh man, you're right. So what is it that doesn't exist? We can't even conceptualize it.
Right. Is there like another Chuck Norris that doesn't exist? There must be. There must be at least one.
Balance must be maintained. So
okay, so yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Be it on the wrong side of Chuck Norris. Anyway, I don't know where we're going with that. Can we get back on the homebrew train?
Sure. Okay, so more of the other things you can do. Hey, in case we lost you there for a minute.
Let's recap.
We talked about
quick recap
with devil contracts. We talked about immortality and taking feats, but also things like this is saying you could take racial traits of other races and adopt them. Like the example here is getting hellish rebuke, which is normally a tiefling thing. Mm-hmm. But why not anything else, Like, why not be able to... Well, it also has the lucky feat, which is technically a halfling thing. Well, I guess the halfling thing is a little different than the lucky feat, I guess, technically. But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So you could take traits of other races.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Does lucky apply every time you roll a 1?
You can only use it so many times per day or per long rest, I think. But yes, it's only when you roll a 1.
I think that's how the halfling thing works. I just don't know how often you can do it. It seems like you can just always do it.
The halfling thing,
it might be every time.
No,
but no, there's no way it could be better than lucky. It would have to be the same.
Because the lucky feat, I'm off the cuff, I'm pretty sure is 3 times per long rest.
I guess 3 times per long rest is a lot of ones.
That's a lot of natural ones
that
you can reroll. And actually, it's not even just ones you can reroll. The lucky feat lets you reroll anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, those are pretty different then, huh?
The lucky feat lets you reroll anything, and the halfling trait lets you reroll ones.
Okay. Maybe the halfling one is every time.
I still think
that seems too strong. No, so how could you not critically fail?
The halfling thing, I think it has level scaling. I'm pretty sure. Maybe there are no racial traits that
I'll make a note of it and I can look it up later.
All right, we'll look it up later. That's fine. That works. That's good. That's good. Okay, the other thing that it describes here is certain spells being like, hey, now I can cast this spell.
Yep. So instead of a spell scroll, you can learn the spell, but you give up a part of your soul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then obviously there are things about money.
Does it talk about the different penalties that you could impose?
It does not.
Okay.
It does not, which I find interesting. So half of this is missing, which is why I thought it would be interesting to talk about. Mm-hmm. Because usually the punishment fits the crime. No, that's not what I want to say. Usually the whatever happens to you as a consequence of taking this gift is usually fitting of what the gift is. Mm-hmm. Right? In some way. So I like the thing like you're immortal, but your nose grows forever and now you have a giant nose. That's a silly one, but I like that idea. Like that.
Yeah, you are immortal, but
yes, you're immortal,
whatever,
but blank, right? So
maybe you're immortal, but you can only remember the last 100 years. 100 years is already a lot of memories to keep track of.
Right.
But like, you just start forgetting stuff. But you remember stuff. You remember 100 years worth of stuff. That's pretty good. That's a whole lifetime. Mm-hmm. So you might not even know how long you've been immortal.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, the only issue with that is, what does the devil gain from giving you that? with that limitation even. Immortality is a tough one because usually they want to like claim you and then, like drag your soul over to wherever and turn you into a mini devil for them or things like that. Like one of their little peons.
There's a couple of things. First of all, it specifically says that you can still be killed.
That's true. And I guess you can basically guarantee that you're eventually going to die.
Statistically speaking. Like, you're going to die eventually. But also,
if you drive enough, like it's guaranteed. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But also,
I think if I was immortal, that's like the first thing I would stop doing.
Just stop driving.
You'd have to. It's too dangerous. You can't drive forever and survive it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But even walking everywhere would be tough. But if you're immortal, you got
exactly.
Time.
I don't have time constraints. It's not like, see, if I'm immortal, I don't need to worry about my retirement.
Exactly.
Right. I am going to be working forever.
Wow. That doesn't sound great to me, but
yeah, exactly.
Maybe I don't want to be immortal.
Maybe immortality on its own is already just like, it's already tricky enough.
This is like sort of a One Punch Man situation. Speaking of, like, maybe I don't want to be immortal.
Yeah, maybe not. But as a result of knowing that I can never retire, maybe I only need to work 1 or 2 days a week.
And okay. So
you know what I mean? Like
going back to
take
the question,
it easy and keep it at a pace that I can keep up forever. Anyway,
going back to the question at hand, devils, like they make these contracts.
God, my job might not exist in 1,000 years.
Probably not. Oh,
you know what I mean? Like imagine how many different jobs you'll have to go through.
Your job won't exist in 100 years, I'm sure.
We can hope not.
Yeah, for sure.
We can hope not. But at the same time, we're so good at making things that are so easy to break that
that's true.
It feels guaranteed.
It feels guaranteed exist. For now. Yeah.
All right, anyway,
so the question at hand, though, there's nothing stopping the devils from killing you. Like that wouldn't technically be a breach of contract. So they're like, yes, you will live forever. You won't, as long as you're not killed. And when you are eventually killed, your soul belongs to me. By the way,
I'm going to put this tracking chip in your, just somewhere on you.
That's probably in the fine print.
Yeah.
The way that a lot of DMs will play devil contracts is exactly like real life corporate contracts where they're huge. There's a ton of fine print, and there's definitely stuff in there that you didn't read because they rushed you just to sign it.
And I'm going to say you should just roll that. You shouldn't actually give them the full contract and give the player the opportunity to read the whole thing. What you should do is have the whole contract, and then based on your character's wisdom, I think.
Yeah, this feels like, well, it could be either.
The wisdom determines which sections of the contract they see.
And then their intelligence determines how much of those they actually understand.
Oh, very nice. Okay, this could be really fun.
Yeah.
I was going to say, though, it could also be like you roll plus wisdom. So there is a chance that you just don't see stuff, but because they hit it too well. This could be really fun. I mean, it's a lot of work for a one-time thing. It's a lot of work for a one-time thing.
But it could be.
But if it ends up being like a main point of your game, I would say homebrew the heck out of these contracts, right? I guess it's all homebrew or it's all not homebrew. I don't know. Is it?
What are you stuck on now? What existential problem are you considering at this juncture?
All right.
Okay.
Is this homebrew?
Is this homebrew? Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you find, I think that anything that's not considered officially published by Wizards of the Coast is homebrew.
Is homebrew. It doesn't have to be a modification of things in the game, like adding a subclass. Or adding a class, because classes already exist. And if you add a new class, that's a homebrew class. But if you added another thing that was different than a class, but you could also pick that instead of a class. I guess that just makes it a class. It just has a different name. But these contracts are a separate thing that don't exist already in the game.
They exist conceptually, but not actually.
So they exist contraceptively.
Yes.
I got you.
Yeah, be safe.
So it is maybe homebrew.
Safety first. Yeah.
We're not sure if it's homebrew. We think maybe not, but it is.
I mean,
right?
anytime you make something and put it in your game, I think that's homebrew. I think that counts as homebrew.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So homebrew is like literally everything, except for a couple of little things here and there, which are not homebrew.
I mean, a lot of people, you have to understand that a lot of people just get an adventure from a published adventure and just run it as is.
Yeah, but when you give the character a voice, that's homebrew. Am I wrong about that?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So you can't not homebrew. Basically, what I'm saying is that the stuff that we talk about here, this is D&D. Any of that stuff you thought was D&D, what you thought was D&D before, that's all wrong. We got D&D.
We just changed D&D forever.
We just changed D&D forever.
Hold on to your pants, kids, because D&D will never be the same.
Okay, good. Thank you for indulging me on that one.
Everything is homebrew. Wizards of the Coast doesn't even really exist.
It exists. Wait a second. Are companies just real life homebrew? It's like you take a bunch of people who are real and you put them together and you make this other thing that's fake that wasn't in the game when God didn't put it in or whoever.
God created the world and Jesus was the D&D. It was the DM. He was the DM of the game. And anything that you do,
the devil? What?
Anything you do that wasn't specifically dictated by Jesus, that's homebrew.
And homebrew is everything created by Satan to lead you away from the true D&D of the universe.
Which is so okay.
Yeah.
So what about things that aren't dictated by either the devil or Jesus?
That's what I'm wondering about right now.
That space in between.
Yeah. Who's there?
What is that considered? Is that considered?
That's exactly the issue. What is that called? Oh my God.
It's not official content and it's not homebrew.
Right. Do you know who's in charge of that?
Who?
Chuck Norris.
Oh, man. That's his realm.
Yeah.
It's the space in between.
Yeah. And guess what? That space is infinite. It's a larger infinity than the infinite space of the other two spaces.
More of that exists than anything else, but it's nothing.
But we can't see it. It's like dark matter.
Oh, man.
We don't know where it is.
We don't know.
We can't find it. We know it's there because we can tell it's there. We can measure its effects, but we just don't see it.
Don't know where it is. We can't find it. It's right in front of our faces.
It's literally everywhere as far as we can tell, but also, who hid it? Who put it there? This stuff?
It wasn't Jesus. It wasn't the devil.
So
was it God?
I'm gonna be guys in our book that's coming out pretty soon.
We had to push it back again, but it's coming out.
Look for it January 3rd, 2022. in any bookstore near you.
Any bookstore near you.
Literally any bookstore near you.
That guy named Keith across the street who
He
has
sells
some
books
stuff
out of his pocket, out of his jacket
pocket.
Yeah.
He's got it.
He's got it.
We gave it to him the other day, but you can't get it until January 3rd.
Not until January 3rd. No,
finished with it yet. But he has it.
I bet there will be leaks. But if there are leaks, don't trust them.
Yeah, don't
trust them.
Those aren't real.
They're messing with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might have leaked some stuff.
If you want a signed copy by Chuck Norris, you have to get it about 300 years ago, because I think that's where he left it.
We'll never know.
I know.
He invented dark matter.
I tried to talk to him, but he both told me and hasn't told me since the beginning and end of time, so I'm not sure. It's hard to get a hold of that guy.
But also easy.
Yeah, but also so easy. It's the easiest person to get a hold of that I've.
You literally can't be away from him. You can, like he. All right. Wow. If you made it this far into the episode, thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we hope if you haven't subscribed to the channel on YouTube yet, if you're watching on YouTube, then please give it a go. Try that button.
Try it out. See how it feels.
See if it works this time.
See if it feels.
I know last time you tried to click subscribe and it didn't work, and you called in to customer support and they were like, I don't know, whatever, man. This time I think it'll work.
Yeah, we patched it. Yeah.
We patched it.
We patched it.
Yeah.
So it should work this time.
So yeah, it's looking good. The like button still broken. Make sure you click it 3 times.
Yeah.
Just to be certain. Or if you tap it 3 times.
Yeah, tap it on the mobile. You guys are all watching this on your phone. We know that. So
right. And if you're listening to this somewhere other than YouTube, on the day it comes out, how'd you do that?
I don't know.
Later on, maybe.
Maybe, possibly.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know.
You don't know. I know somebody who does.
It's Chuck Norris.
Bye, guys.